Hi all, in this video we're going to look at the 2018 Ordinary Level Section B Question 1. This is an orthographic and auxiliary elevation question. This is a standard question that comes up pretty much every year at Ordinary Level. So let's get started. What we're going to do first is we're going to try and find out the positioning of the elevation and the plan. Okay, so we know, if we look at the question, we know that surface A is towards the left hand side. Okay, so we can see that it's on the left hand side of the object. So if surface A is towards the left hand side, we're going to set up the plan towards the bottom left of the page, because we know the auxiliary is going to be up towards the top right. Now if we look at the question, we can see that the plan is quite narrow. Okay, so we know that we don't have to come up too far here to set up our elevation. Okay, so I'm going to mark off my elevation, and the first job I need to do is find out what are the key measurements. So my width measurement, so that's my measurement from the very left to the very right. What is that? And again, if we look at the question, we can see at the very top there it is 120 from left to right. The next one is the height. That's the measurement from the very bottom to the very top. And again, if we look at our question, we can see that we've got a measurement of 80 to the left, and we've got then a 35 measurement towards the right. So that gives us an overall height of 115. The last measurement then we need to look at is the depth. So that's the measurement from the back to the front. So from the very back to the very front of this object. If we look closely to our questions towards the left hand side, we can see we have measurements of 15 and 30. So that gives us an overall depth of 45. So now that we've those measurements, we can start putting those onto our sheet. So the first thing we're going to do is mark off the height. So it's 115 high. So we're going to mark off that at 115 and draw a light line across. Next thing I'm going to do is we need to put in the width. So we're going to mark off our width here towards the left. Okay. And we're going to mark off the width then. So we can see from our question it is 120 wide. So I'm going to mark off 120. Again, I'm drawing a light line all the way down from elevation to plan. Why? Because whatever width it is in the elevation, it's the same width in plan. We need to put in our plan next. We're going to mark off leave a distance, mark off a gap between the elevation and plan, about 20 or 30 millimeters. It doesn't really matter as long as we have a wee space there. Next job is to put in our depth. So our depth in plan we know is 45. We've got that. So I'm going to mark down 45. And again, draw a light line across. So at this stage now, we've got the elevation and plan set up. We're going to just mark off what our key measurements were. So our width was our measurement from our left to our right. Our height measurements then was the measurements from the bottom to the top. And our depth was our measurements from the back to the front. Once we've got these measurements, our next step now is to put in the other measurements that we need to draw our elevation on our plan. So if we look at our question here, we've got a number of different height measurements, 3 in total. We have a 60, an 80, and then a 35 on top. So we're going to mark those height measurements off here. So we mark off our 60 and our 80, and again we're left with our 35. So we have 3 different height measurements. They're going to be important to us throughout the question. Next job is to put in our different width measurements. Okay, so from the first inspection we can see that we've got a 10 millimeters to the left and right. Okay, so I mark off the 2 10s, and we can see that we've a point of the roof at the very back, and that comes to the center. We can see that by the red dot line throughout the page. So we know that that is going to be at 60, right in the center. So I have 3 width measurements to start with, and I'm going to draw those all the way down. Again, our rule, whatever width it is in elevation, it's the same width in plan. So we're going to mark those all the way down. Now if we look closely on the question, we have an internal measurement there of 34. Okay, so that is for the top of this bay window. And if we look at it again, it's marked from the center. So if it's 34, we know we have to go 17 either side of this center line. I'm going to mark off either side the center line. And again, I'm going to draw those lightly all the way down because I'm going to need that information in plan. Once I've that done, I've got most of my measurements that I can use to draw my elevation. Okay, what I'm going to just do to start with is we're going to draw the outside of the house here. So I'm going to do this in a blue color. Just you can use your normal pencil, your 2H pencil. I'm going to draw these in different colors, different parts of it, just so it stands out that little bit easier to you. Okay, so that is the outside of the house in elevation. Now I can't draw all of the bay window in elevation just yet because I don't have some measurements. I wasn't told, if we look to the question, the measurement to the very front here. Okay, so what that measurement is, I need to try and find that out. So we must go ahead now and draw the plan to try and find out that measurement. So if we look down a plan, we've got two depth measurements. Okay, nice and straightforward. We have a depth measurement of 15 and of 30. So we're going to mark down 15. I'm left with 30 and I'm going to draw a light line across. Once we've that done, we've nearly got everything it is that we need to draw the bay window. But again, just for clarity, I'm going to draw in the back part of this, the house itself here. And we can see that there, that's the part that's 15 thick. So I'm going to mark that all the way along here. Okay, and then we've got the very outside, the left, we've got the center, the ridge of the roof, and we've got the very right. Okay, so that there is the house itself. Next thing that we need to do is we need to mark off the bay window. Now if we look at surface A is, if we look at the question, surface A is at the left hand side and we can see the angle there coming down at 30 degrees. Okay, so that steps in 10 mil from the question, and we can see that here we come in 10 and we know it's 30 degrees down this way. Okay, so draw my line down at 30 degrees using my set square. I'm going to go ahead now and mark off this here in a red line just with my red ink and pen, just so it's easy for you to see. We have to do the exact same on the right hand side. Okay, step in the 10 and it comes down at 30 degrees, the right hand side also. Okay, if we look closely then we can bring this edge is going to be coming straight up. We know the outside there, and the important parts are these points right here. So where are they? They're directly above it, and we can see those there in elevation. So that front red surface is this front red surface just here. Okay, just same on the other side. We've got the outside edge and we've got this point here now, and that gives us that edge there. And again, that's the red surface there on the right hand side. To join those up, we've got a red or a green line here. We can see that in the center. So that'll be the very front of the bay window, and that lets us see the green surface in here. Okay, so that's the front of that bay window. Next job for us to do is to find out where they're all connected to. Well, already in the question, we've had these points right here, okay, and this one right here, directly from up here. And we can tell again by looking at our question that this is joined to the very outside here and the very outside here. Okay, just like it's joined from the very from this point to the very outside there, just as it is to there. Okay, so it's the same line. So hopefully this color is kind of making things a bit easier for you to see. Next job is we've got the inside. So that'll be the top of this front surface. So again, this point is connected down to here, which gives me this kind of green part here, this roof surface. Okay, and we've got that in the plan as well. So it went from here to here. So again, we're joining these down here. And again, we can already draw that in. Even though that line's already there, hopefully the color will make things a bit easier for you to see. So that there then is the elevation set up and plan set up for this question. Okay, the next part of the question is we need to look at and find an auxiliary elevation showing surface A. So this is going to be surface A, just in there. And we can see that that is surface A just here. So to draw this normal elevation, again, which came from a plan, so if we remember that rule, the elevation comes from the plan. We were standing down here, looking in this way here, okay? And that, when we looked in there, that's what we saw. But the question wants us now to turn around, and we want to stand over this way and look in here. And it wants us to tell us, what do we see when we look in from that direction down there? Okay, so we're now looking in at the angle at the side. Well, first thing we need to do is we need to find out that the angle at surface A is at. So it's at 30 degrees. They've made it nice and easy for us. So what we need to do is go parallel to surface A to set up an XY line out here. So I'm going to draw that nice and big. And this X1, okay, because it's first auxiliary, X1Y line is the exact same as our ground line that we had here already. Okay, so again, I'm going to draw that. So that there was my XY line. So this X1Y1 is the exact same thing. Again, this first elevation came from the plan. Therefore, the auxiliary elevation is going to come from the plan also. Okay. What's our other rules that we need to remember? Well, we also need to remember that whatever height it is in one elevation, okay, so whatever height it is in one elevation, it's going to be the same height in our auxiliary elevation. So I'm going to go ahead then and mark off our key height measurements. So the first one is here. So from the ground to the bottom of the bay window, so that's height 1. Next height will be to the top of the bay window. Okay, that's my height 2. And then if I look at the very top, that is my third and final height. Okay, so from the ground all the way to the top. So once I have those heights again, our auxiliary is coming from the plan, exact same as this elevation did. So whatever height is in this elevation is the same height out here. So I'm going to go ahead now, and we're going to mark off these heights. Okay, so again we set up our XY line parallel to surface A down here. So what are my 3 key heights? Well, they were 60, 80 and 115, the overall height, okay, which we had at the very start of our question. I'm going to mark these height lines parallel to the X1, Y1 line, the ground line, the exact same as they're parallel to the XY line in our elevation. So these lines are parallel here, the same as these height lines are parallel here. So we're going to just mark off those just so there's no confusion. And we're going to look at the different heights in our auxiliaries. So the first one I'm going to put in is my height 1. So again, I'm just going to mark that off. So all these height lines are going to be really important to us throughout the question. So there's the first height, next height, height 2, which is my green height here. And last but not least is my top height, which gives me the height of the building itself, and that there is height 3. So now that we've got all our heights, we know where the different height lines are. We now all we have to do is find the positioning of all these other vertical edges. Okay, so first thing we're going to have a look at is the back edge of the building. Okay, so we're going to look at this blue shape here. Again, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label these points. I find having color and labels and things makes things a lot easier. So if I call this point 1, where is point 1 in elevation? Well, it's directly in front of it. So this point in plan turns into this line in elevation. So it's going to be the line 1, 1. If we look at point 2, it's directly behind 1. So it's the same line, it's just in at the back. Let's move on to the top of it, point 3. It's directly in line with it in elevation, and that's point 3. Point 4 is at the back. Follow it all the way. There's point 4 at the back. So there's 5 at the front down here. Follow it. It appears as a line. there's 5 and 5. And if we look at point 6 at the back, it's directly behind line 5. So hopefully again by now finding these points we can make things easier when it comes to the auxiliary. So what we're going to look at is, well, if we want to find point 1, where is it? Well, look straight above it. It's on the ground line, our XY line. Followed up, it's also on our green height 2 line. So we can use that information when we're looking at this auxiliary. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And again, remember, there is surface A, which is parallel to our X1, Y1 line. To bring a point up, we must go at 90 degrees. So I'm just going to simply flip my set square all the way down. If we look closely now, when I bring a point up, it's going to meet here at 90 degrees. And that's the angle we want. So we're going to go ahead and draw the back of the building, okay, the house itself. So I'm going to bring one point up at a time. So there's point 1 coming all the way up. Okay. And again, let's try and find that. So 1 point at a time. Where's 1? Well, look, it's on the ground. So mark it on the ground. Where else is it? It's on height 2. There's my height 2. There's 1 coming up. That has to be them there. Okay. So there's 1, 1. So what happens to them? They get joined together. 1 gets connected to 1. Okay. That's that one done. Next thing is point 2. So I'm going to bring that up. Okay, where's point 2? It's on the ground. Where else is it? It's on height number 2. There it is. There it is coming up. They intersect. There's point 2. What happens to point 2? It's a line. I can draw the heavy edge because when I look in here, I know I can see that edge. There's no problem. What else happens? 1 gets connected to 2. So let's draw that in. There's 1 getting connected to 2. Okay. So again, if we label everything and we've colors on them, it should make things a little bit easier for us. Next job is to find out where point 3 is. Okay. So move it all the way up. Let's find point 3. It's at the very top. It's on height line 3. So there's 3 coming up. There's my height line 3. And they intersect. That gives me point 3. Where does 3 get connected to? It gets connected back down to point 1. So I'm going to draw that in there. Okay. Next one is the back edge is point 4. So I'm going to bring that up. Okay. There is 4. Where is it? In a normal elevation, directly above. It's on height line 3. Here's my height line 3. There's my point 4 in plan. Bring those where they intersect. Gives me point 4. Where is point 4 connected to? It's connected back to point 2. So I join that. And where is 4 connected to? It's also connected to point 3 at the ridge of the roof. Okay, so there's that one. Next thing is the back edge. I've got point 5 and point 6, so I'm going to mark point 5, bring that all the way up. Where is point 5 in the normal elevation? It's on the ground, so it's on the ground here. Bring it up. It's on the green height line. There's the green height line. There's point 5. That's point 5 right there. Okay. Once we've that done, normally we would join these, but if I look in here, when I'm looking in at surface A, point 5 may be blocked by this portion of the roof. So I'm not going to draw anything yet. I will just draw it as a slightly heavier pencil line just for us to be able to see it. Okay, so more than likely it's going to become a dotted line, but we're not 100% sure yet. Where is 5 connected to? It's connected back into 3, so I can join that. Last edge is point 6. Okay, the back edge, so I'm going to bring 6 up. Again, where is point 6? It's on the ground. Look up, it's on height line 2. There's height line 2, there's 6. Bring them across. Where they collide gives me point 6. What do we know about point 6? It's definitely at the back. It's at the very back when we're looking in here from this edge. Okay, so it's the last thing I'm going to see. So I know it's going to be at the back, so I know it's going to appear as a dotted line. Okay, so remember we do our dotted lines to anything that we can see. 6 gets connected to 6. Where else? It gets connected to 4. So I'm going to draw that in as well. Okay, and what else? 6 gets connected to 5. So I can draw in that as well. So again, by just taking 1 point at a time and building up the question, we can see that we're going to end up getting the answer we want. So that is the back part of the building done. The next job for us to do is look at the bay window at the front. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have a look and we're going to start numbering the bay window and plan. We're going to find those points in elevation the exact same as we did at the back, and then we can locate them in our auxiliary. So the first point I'm going to look at is this side edge here of the bay window, which is the side of surface A. So I'm going to call that point 7. So where is that in elevation? Directly above it, the exact same as point 1, directly above here. So it's on the ground and it's up here as well. Next one, point 8 at the front, follow it, it's right here, follow it, it's at the next height. Okay, next point is going to go over here, point 9, follow it all the way up, it's on the ground and it's on the first height line. Last one is point 10 here, follow it, it's on the ground, directly above, it's on height line 1. So there's those points. Last thing we need to do is look at our 2 top points here. So we've got this point here, point 11, it's directly above, and there's point 11. This one here, then the opposite side, point 12, directly above it, there's point 12. So now that we've those labels, the next thing to do is to find these points. Okay, we found a point from plan to elevation. We now need to find the point from this plan to our new elevation. Again, whatever height they are in this elevation, they'll be the same height in this one. Those rules never change. So we're going to take 1 point at a time and locate them. All we have to do then, it's like a game of join the dots, nice and straightforward. So I'm going to bring point 7 up. Again, perpendicular 90 degrees to our x1, y1 line. So we brought up point 7, we now need to find out, well, where is it? Well, look, point 7 is on the ground, so follow it all the way up. There's point 7, and it's also on height line 1. There's height line 1, there's point 7. Where they collide gives me point 7. What happens? 7 gets connected to 7 on that edge. Okay. Next job, point 8. Bring it up. Perpendicular to our x1, y1. Where is 8? It's on the ground. Follow it up. There's 8 on the ground. It's also on height line 1. There's height line 1. There's 8. So bring it up, bring it across. Where they collide gives me point 8. 8 gets connected to 8. And 8 gets connected to 7. What have we found here? We have actually found our surface A. So this is the true shape of surface A, okay, which we wanted, which we were asked for in the question. We were all asked for a full auxiliary, so we have to draw everything else. So we're going to move around our pieces to our new points. There's point 9, so I'm going to mark off again, same as we did, bring 9 up. And you can see here, when we brought 9 up, it is hiding point 5 here. So it's going to come in front of point 5. So it was lucky we left that blank. So we brought 9 up. Where is it? Directly above it. It's on the ground. And follow it up. It's also on height line 1. There's height line 1. There's 9. Bring them across where they collide. Gives me point 9. What happens there? It's a line. It's an edge. So we bring 9 to 9. Okay. Next one is point 10. Follow it in around. Light line up. Find out where 10 is, directly above it. It's on the ground. So there it is on the ground. It's also on height line 1, height line 1, 10. Bring them up. There is point 10. Okay. What happens? 10 gets connected to 10. Will I see it? No. It's been hidden by these other pieces. So it's going to appear as a dotted edge. Okay. 10 gets connected to 9. Again, we can put that in as a dot edge for the minute. Okay, so there's my 2 red surfaces, the red rectangles towards the front. We've now them drawn. Next thing we can do is we can see the 8 gets connected to 9. This is by this green surface, so I'm going to draw that. And that, again, 9 takes over our dotted line that we had between 9 and 10. We've only 2 more points, and that's to give us points 11 and 12, which gives us these roof surface of the bay window. So again, I'm going to mark off point 11, bring that up. So where's 11? It's on the green height line. There's the green height line, there's point 11. Follow them all the way. Where they collide gives us point 11. Where does 11 get connected to? It gets connected to 7. It gets connected to 8. Okay, just like that. So that's those. Next one is 12. We bring 12 up. Okay, where's 12? It's on height line 2. There's height line 2. There's 12. Bring them. Where they collide gives us point 12. Where is 12 connected to? It's connected to 10. Okay, I'm going to draw that in. That's a dotted line. It's going to be hidden because it's also 12 is also connected to 9, and 9 is at the front. It's going to be a heavy line, and 12 is also connected to 11 back here also. So I'm going to draw that in. Once you've that bit in, we have one more job, and that's just to finish off our line 5. Okay, we don't want to forget about that. Once we've all these edges now in, we can see the 5, it's a heavy line until it hits the roof, and after that it's going to appear as a dotted edge. So we just want to make sure we go back and don't miss any points. Once we've that done, our question is pretty much fully complete. So all we have to do is tidy it up. We can put down our information, the names of our views, elevation, plan. Here is our auxiliary elevation. Okay, our auxiliary elevation. We've got our heights marked off. So again, we can, if we want, you'll have more time than me, just to shade in some of this. It's a nice habit to get into so we can see the different parts. So I'm going to just shade in the black, or the back edge, excuse me, here in blue. Okay, so that's it in plan. And again, we can just see where that is going to be then in our auxiliary. So this is the back edge of this. So sometimes just putting a bit of colour on it brings things to life and makes it a little bit easier for you to see. Now you'll have more time to shade in than I do, but it's just to give you an idea. Again, if I was to take this surface A, okay, where would we see that? Well, we know it's down here. It's this surface right here. And we can see that surface right here. We don't have to colour the whole thing in. It's just sometimes shading some elements makes things that little bit neater. Okay. So that is the 2018 ordinary level section B, question 1. Hopefully this video helps you with your homework and revision for this question. Good luck.